Less than 50 people have ever had the Rh null blood type, dubbed golden blood. For the first time, this blood was discovered in an Australian Aboriginal woman. This unique blood is universal and can be accepted by anyone. 3% of people all over the planet have lines creating the letter X on both their hands. This is a rare phenomenon, and in many cultures, this feature is believed to be a sign of a strong character. About 25% of people have an interesting reaction to sunlight. They sneeze. This phenomenon even has its own name, the photic sneeze reflex. In the Greek language, it's called sun sneezing. In some people, saliva accumulates in a gland under their tongue. Then it can get propelled out in a stream when a person presses on this gland. If the mouth is open at the moment, a jet can reach several feet. This process, called gleeking, can occur spontaneously. A person accidentally pushes their tongue against the gland while eating, yawning, talking, or cleaning their teeth, and voila! Up to 35% of people can gleek. It's about 1% can do it on command. Less than 1% of the world's population has dextrocardia. That's a rare condition when the heart points towards the right side of the chest rather than the left one. Sometimes, people with this unique feature have all their internal organs on the mirror image side of the body. Around 65% of the world's population have loop-shaped fingerprints. In 30% of people, fingerprints are whorl-shaped, and only 5% of people have arch-shaped fingerprints. All these types are divided into smaller groups. For example, there might be plain or tinted arches, accidental whorls, or peacock's eye, and so on. Most people have 12 pairs of ribs, but 1 in 200 people has an additional 25th rib. Called cervical, it forms at the base of the neck, above the collarbone. It can grow on the left, right, or even both sides. Those with extra ribs most likely know nothing about this modification. That's because an extra rib rarely forms completely and can look like a thin strand of tissue. In this case, you won't even see it on an X-ray. When you're asked to clasp your hands, which finger do you put on top? If it's the right thumb above the left one, you're among 50% of the world's population. 49% of people position their left thumb above the right, and a mere 1% place their thumbs next to each other. It's only 3 to 22% of people in the world have Mortons toe. It's a foot structure when the second toe is longer than the first one. Michelangelo's David and the Statue of Liberty both have this unusual body feature. Only 2 out of every 10,000 have an unusually shaped pupil. Most commonly, it resembles a keyhole. This eye disorder is called coloboma. Luckily, people with this condition don't usually have any problems with their vision. People with distichiasis have 1 more row of eyelashes. This phenomenon is a genetic mutation. It's not harmful in any way but can cause some discomfort. A hair can grow where an oil gland is supposed to be on the wet part of the eyelid. It causes irritation and tearing. There are people who don't have to stress over how much calcium they consume. They have a rare mutation in the LRP5 gene. It gives them mega-dense bones almost unable to break. By the way, such people have difficulty staying afloat while swimming. Some women have supercolor vision, tetrachromacy, thanks to special cells in their eyes. These cells are called cones, and a regular person has 3 types of them. But tetrachromats have 4 cones. It allows them to see 100 million different colors. Another gene mutation helps people keep their bad cholesterol levels extremely low. The gene gives your body instructions to produce a special protein. It controls the amount of cholesterol in your blood. Unfortunately, only 2 to 3% of people have this useful feature. Only 4% of people have an outie belly button. Several factors, like the fat distribution around your waistline or genetics, determine which kind of belly button you'll end up with. Genetics plays a crucial role even in your taste buds. Up to 25% of the population are super tasters. They have more visible taste papillae. Those are tiny dots littering your tongue than regular tasters. This extra option makes them more sensitive to certain foods. For example, sweet, bitter, or salty. Super tasters also have more pain receptors on their tongues. That's why they shy away from spicy food. Scientists claim the Tibetans genetically mutated to be able to live at such high altitudes. One of their genes is responsible for adapting to falling oxygen levels really fast. The same gene is also linked with improved endurance in athletes. By the way, it was one of the fastest evolutionary mutations ever recorded in people. It developed in less than 3,000 years. Gray eyes are an incredibly rare body feature. Only 1% of the human population is born with gray eyes. Such people have low levels of melanin in the front part of their irises. Blue eyes are also not as common as you may think. Just 8 to 17% of people have them. An even rarer thing is a combination of red hair and blue eyes. If a person is born like this, it means both their parents carried these genes. You're likely to need at least 8 hours of sleep to be able to be energetic during the day. But if you can sleep for less than 6 hours and still function without any trouble, chances are you're likely to have short sleeper syndrome. It's a genetic condition that allows you to sleep much less than other people and not regret it at all. Have you ever woken up and looked at your tousled hair with frustration? And now imagine having this disheveled look forever and not being able to do anything about it. It's called uncombable hair syndrome. Your hair is always sticking out every which way, and no amount of water or hair gel can tame it. People with a single palmar crease have just one line running across their palm, and the majority of the world's population has 2 lines. Also called the simian crease, this feature is only found in 1.5% of the world's population. Men are more likely to have a single palmar crease than women. In most cases, it runs in families. If something doesn't seem right to you in this hand, it's because it has a triphalangeal thumb. About 1 in 25,000 people is born with the thumbs on their hands having 3 phalanges or bones instead of the usual 2. It gives their hands a very extraordinary look. A crown is that patch of hair on the top of your head that goes in a spiral. It's pretty hard to miss if you have short hair, especially because it's the hardest part to smooth down. People normally have 1 crown, but there are individuals who have 2. Double the smoothing trouble. Cleft chin, just like dimples on the cheeks, looks adorable, and it's also a genetic mutation. It appears when the bones or muscles in the lower jaw don't fuse completely. It's hereditary, but if you have a cleft chin, it doesn't mean your descendants will have it too. There are environmental factors that can prevent it from developing. Albinism is a condition in which the pigment is absent from your body altogether. Very few people have it, and they look completely out of this world with their snow-white skin, hair, eyelashes, and pale blue or gray eyes. Animals can have this condition too. There are marvelous cases of albino peacocks and even crocodiles that are completely white. Another type of albinism is called ocular albinism. The difference is that it only affects the eyes. There's a lack of pigment in the irises, which makes the eyes look otherworldly. The downside is that the lack of melanin makes the eyes really sensitive to light, so people with this condition have to take great care of their vision. You might have a tiny hole at the top of your ear where it meets the temple. If so, you're among 10% of the world's population. This hole is most commonly found on the right side, but some people have it on both of their ears. Such holes may go all the way through, or they can look like dimples, dents, or even small lumps.